Hello guys, welcome to our mathematics class. Today we're going to look at quadratic equations, solutions of quadratic equations. Yesterday we looked at factorization as one of the methods that we use in solving these quadratic equations. But today we are going to look at another teaching method that we use to solve, and we call that method computing the square. Called computing the square. Okay, so what does this mean? To complete the square. So this is what it is. What is a square number? A square number is anything that is of this form, except. So that is a square number or something like that. Then we also call this square number. Anything that is squared is a square number. Okay? So that means we have expressions, and then what we want to do is eventually we want to have a square on that expression. That's what we want to do. We want to have a square on the expression, then it can be easy to solve that question. Okay? And this method is used mostly when you cannot factorize. Let's say you have an x squared plus 5x plus minus 6. We have something like this. I think we do. Yes, we do. So now this one you can factorize because you can find that's the one you did yesterday. You can find the product number 6, the sum, you do plus 5, and then our factors become negative 1 and positive 6. So if we look at this, now you see that these ones will be our solutions. So we have our factors. But then we will have certain questions where we cannot find such questions. Okay? And that question can be, let's say, a question like x squared minus 6x minus 3. You will see that this question, you can never find the factor. The product is a negative 7, the sum is a negative 6. So for you to find two numbers that multiply to give us a 7 and add to give a negative 6, that's impossible. So if you take, let's say negative 1 and plus 7, if you add these two, you get a plus. Now it's possible. Plus 1 and minus 7. This one is possible. I think it's possible. So this one is not really what I want to do. Let's see another one. Yeah. Another one could be, so this one you can find factors, that one you can find factors. So this one is method of factorization work. But then if you have 6x squared minus 11x plus 3 plus 3, you will see that the product here will be equal to 6 times 3, which is plus 18. The sum, negative 11. Now for you to find two numbers that multiply to give you 18, but add to give you 11. Yeah, it's there. The numbers are there anyway for this one also. But anyway, I'm not finding examples that will really work on this. That would really work on this one. But there are certain expressions, quadratic expressions, which you cannot be able to factorize. You will fail to factorize them. So in such scenarios now, that's when we use the method of computing the square. That's where that method will work. Okay, so let me erase this stuff. So this method is a difficult method to understand. And usually, in most cases, I don't encourage students to use it. I would rather you use the next method that we do, which is which we call quadratic formula. That's it. That's the one I would usually encourage students to use. But now we have to use this one because there is a certain section which you can only work with completing the square. You have to understand it before you go on. So that's the part I'm teaching. That's the reason why I have to teach this one. So I will do it after. Okay, so let's look at how we complete the square. Okay, so let's say example 1. Example 1. We have a question: x squared minus 6x minus 7 is equal to 0. So this is the question that we have. Then maybe we want to solve it by completing the square. So this you can solve by factorization, but we want to solve it by completing the square. So what do we do? Step number 1. Number 1, you take coefficient of x. Take the coefficient of x. So what is the coefficient of x? X is here. The coefficient of x is what? -6. So that is -6. And once you take it, the second step is divided by 2. So now what you're going to do, you're going to say -6 divided by 2, and we get -3, right? Then square the result. Square the result of what? The result to step number 2. So the answer to this one, is squared. So -3 squared. Now see this, I'm not simplifying the answer. I know this will give me a 9, but I'm not simplifying. Now, add and what do I want to do? I want to edit both sides. Add it to both sides. I wanted to use another method. So add it to both sides. Of the equation. So to this side of the equation, we are going to add this guy. So what do? We come here, we say x squared minus 6x. Okay. Now normally what I do here, I add this one here, just after the 6x, because remember we took it from the 6 squared x. Then I have a minus 7. Then on this side we have a 0. So I can add also now, adding, let me say we have a 0 here. So what did I do here? I added this squared here. I added to both sides. I added it here just after the 6x, and then I added here after the 0. Okay, I will show you a different way in the second example. Once I do that, now what I do is, now I'm not going to write any steps somewhere here. I'm going to continue to doing what we're going here on this. So what we do here is, once we have added, we are going to take this part, including this sign. So the two signs that are connected to the 6x, this whole part, we're going to cancel it. We're going to throw it away. So we take that part and we throw it away. So what are we going to have in the end? We're going to have x. Now this one is squared, but we are not going to write it as x squared. We'll write x The ones that are squared, that's what you take. So we take x and you take minus 3. And what we do, we bring them together, then we square them. So I take this x and this minus 3. That's why this sign is important. So even if you had a plus here, you would put a plus. Then here you'd have a plus. So you take it the way it is, squared. Then you have minus 7 is equal to, now here you can simplify. 0 plus that will give you a positive 9. Now you go now to bring this guy to the other side. So you have x minus 3 squared is equal to 9 plus 7. So you have in the end x plus 3, sorry, not plus, minus 3 squared is equal to 9 plus 7, that gives us 16. So now we have completed the square. You should see this. This is a square, okay? And this one is also a square now, eh? But what we wanted to have is this square here. So now we have completed the square. That's completing the square. So this one is called the method of completing the square. What is this method of solving quadratic equations? So how then do we solve the equation? Remember, we have a square here. So what we want is to make x sub the formula. And that is simple. We want to find the value of x. Therefore, we can put square roots on both sides. Remember, we want to cancel these 2. So to cancel that 2, I'll put a square root on both sides. So on this side, we have x minus 3. And remember, on this side, I said whenever you find the square root of a number, the answer is going to be plus or minus 4. So now x, we have 2 answers. If you take this guy the other side, it changes the sign. So you have plus, minus 4, plus 3. So writing down your final answers, you have x. The other one, you take the plus sign on the 4, plus 4, plus 3, which gives us a plus 7 is the answer. In the other one, you take the negative sign. Negative 4 plus 3, this gives us a negative 1 is the answer. So we have solved this quadratic equation that we had here using the method of completing the square. So I know it's a bit tricky. It's really a bit tricky. You need to know what you're doing when you're doing such a question. But you understand this by the end of the day, and also more practice will help you to be able to solve this. Okay, so let's look at a second example. I should mention that here. Now, if you see if this coefficient of x squared here is 1 here, straight away you start by this. You take the coefficient of x, and then you go to this step. So these steps is you follow them when this coefficient of x is 1. But now, if it's another different number, there is a first thing that we do, then we now do the rest. So let's go on to that. So we have a second example is 6x squared minus 11x plus 3 is equal to 0. All right. So now we have the coefficient of x squared is not 1, it's 6. So what do we do? So in this case, you are not allowed to just continue in a normal way as if things are the same. So there is one thing that you do first. So what you do first is you divide throughout by the coefficient of x. Throughout by the coefficient of x. So this one, cancel that one. So you're going to have x squared. This one remains 11 over 6 x. This one becomes a half. This one becomes a 0. So that's the first step. Whenever you have a number that is not 1 here, you divide it throughout by that number. So now you have this. And then once you have this, now we have a 1. You take you start those steps. Step number 1, take the coefficient of x. In this case, it's 11 over 6. Step number 2, if you go back, you see that in step number 2, you have to divide this by 2. So you punch in your calculator, you divide this by 2, you get 11 over 12. Then step number 3, what do? We take 11 over 12, we square it. Step number 4, we add it to both sides. So we add it to both sides. So we go here. Remember, x squared minus 11 over 6x. And then just after this, you are going to add this guy here. It is a negative. So it's negative 11 over 12 squared. Some people can even choose to take this one already on this other side. So if I take it to that side, so I will have a negative half on that side. So on this side, I will only have what? So let me do it here. So once you take this one, already the other side, you're going to have negative half on this side. And on this side, you only have these 2. So you add here. Let me do that in a better way. I don't want to lose people. So I'm saying here, the best way you can actually do this so that you don't confuse yourself on where to add is before you add this guy, you check this one to the other side. So you have x squared minus 11 over 6x. Then you take it to the other side and you have negative half. So now once you have this this guy, we said we are going to add it on both sides. So it goes to this side, it also goes to that side. So I'm going to say now here I have plus negative 11 over 12 squared. Here also plus negative 11 over 12 squared. So you have added it both sides. That's simple. Then the next step, remember, from this sign here to that positive sign there, we are going to ignore this one. We're going to throw it away. So what we take this x and this that is in the box. So let's do that. So we have x minus 11 over 12. Then we put them in brackets. Then we square. Then on this side, we now have a negative half. And if you simplify there, you're going to get a 121 over 144. So all you need to do is your calculator now. 11 over 12 squared is equal to negative half plus 121 over 144. The answer is going to be 49, 144. Okay, now once you are here, what you do is now, remember, you want to remove the square root. So you are going to find the square root of both sides. So the square root on both sides, with this one cancels with the square root side. Then you have x minus 11 over 12. And on this side, remember the answer is supposed to be plus or minus. Square root of 49 is a 7. Square root of 44 is a 12. So then you're going to get your 2 answers. The first answer, remember we have a plus or minus 7 over 12. Then when this guy goes to this side, it becomes a plus 11 over 12. Now, so you have 2 answers. One, we take the positive sign, plus 11 over 12, plus 7 over 12, plus 11 over 12. This one gives us 18 over 12. That is the first answer. Right? The second one, we take the negative 7 over 12, plus 11 over 12. Then if you simplify that, you should get 4 over 12. So these are the answers to this question here. So you can actually reduce this. Now, if you see in the book, they reduced it. So if you punch this in the calculator, you see that this is 3/2, right? And this one here is 1/3. So it's the same. These are the same answers. That's how they solved it in your book on page 66. Okay, so that must be pretty easy. Let me do it one more time. Example 3. So we have 3x squared minus 4x minus 4 is equal to 0. So we said we have x, we have the quotient of x squared is not 1. So what do? We divide throughout by 3. Now when you do that, what you're going to have, we're going to have x squared minus 4/x, 4x/3 minus 4/3 is equal to 0. And then now I said, now when you want to complete the square, just take this guy to the other side. So we're going to have x squared minus 4x/3. Then I leave a space there because I know I want to come and add something, because we want to add on both sides. Then when this guy goes here, it becomes a positive 4/3. So because I want to leave a space to add here, right? Then we go to our steps. Step number 1, check the coefficient of x, negative 4/3. Step number 2, divide it by 2, negative 4/3 divided by 2. This will give us a negative 2/3. Then number 3, square it, square the solution. So we're going to square the solution. Step number 4, add it to both sides. We're going to add it to both sides. So I come here, let me change the color to show that this one is coming from somewhere. So it's a plus here, negative 2/3 squared, plus here, negative 2/3 squared. If we do that, let me go back to the original color. Remember, we come here, we take this part. So this part we are going to discard. We're going to throw away. Okay? So now we're going to have x minus 2. Remember, we take this x and whatever is here, 4/3 squared is equal to 4/3. And here, if you square that, you're going to get a plus 4/9. So now we have x minus 2/3 squared is equal to, now if we punch that in the calculator, 4/3 plus 4/9 is equal to 16/9. Now, square root. So this cancels that one. Then we are going to get now x minus 2/3 is equal to plus or minus 4/3. Okay, x is equal to plus or minus 4/3 plus 2/3. Okay, when you take this one here, it becomes a positive. And what you're doing is now, okay, your first solution, you take the positive sign, so it's plus 4/3 plus 2/3. The next one is going to be x is equal to negative 4/3 plus 2/3. Now, when you simplify there, 4/3 plus 2/3, what do you get? You get a 2.
Other one, negative 4/3 plus 2/3. What do we get? We get a negative 2/3. So that is, these are the solutions that we're talking about. So that's how you solve equations using completing the square method. So tomorrow I'll teach you the quadratic method. Then we'll almost be done. We just have to look at some word problems then, and that will be it. The homework, as you can see, it's written here. Exercise 8 on page 66.